The shuttle screamed through the alien atmosphere like a dying bird, its hull glowing red-hot as emergency systems wailed their final warnings. Alex Rivera gripped his seat harness with white knuckles, watching the ground rush up to meet them through the cracked view screen. Behind him, Sam Walsh was unconscious, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead where debris had struck during the first impact with the electromagnetic storm. "Brace for impact," Casey Morgan shouted from the pilot's seat, fighting the dead controls as the shuttle tumbled end over end. Riley Brooks, the team's medic, had already secured the emergency medical kit and was pressing herself against the bulkhead, her left shoulder hanging at an odd angle. The world exploded into chaos as the shuttle slammed into the rocky ground. Metal shrieked against stone, sparks flew in all directions, and Alex felt his left leg snap like a twig against the twisted remains of his console. Then everything went dark. When consciousness returned, Alex tasted blood and smoke. The shuttle's interior was a maze of bent metal and flickering emergency lights. Through a massive tear in the hull, he could see an alien sky the color of copper, with two moons hanging like pale eyes in the late afternoon light. "Sound off," Alex croaked, his throat raw from smoke inhalation. His leg throbbed with every heartbeat, and when he looked down, he could see bone poking through his torn flight suit. "Here," Riley gasped from somewhere behind him. "Shoulders dislocated, and I've got burns on my right arm, but I'm mobile." Casey groaned from the pilot's seat. "Internal bleeding, I think. Maybe broken ribs. Hard to tell." Her face was pale, and she was breathing in short, careful gasps. "Sam's breathing but won't wake up," Riley reported, crawling over to check on their communications specialist. "Definite concussion, maybe worse. We need to get him somewhere safe." Alex forced himself to focus through the pain. Their shuttle was finished. Nothing more than twisted wreckage now. The communication array was completely destroyed, and even if it wasn't, the electromagnetic interference from the storm that brought them down would make any signal impossible to transmit. They were stranded on survey site Delta 7, a planet that wasn't supposed to have any intelligent life. "We need shelter," Alex said, pulling himself upright and nearly blacking out from the pain in his leg. "That storm might come back, and we don't know what kind of wildlife this place has." Through the torn hull, he could see massive structures rising from the rocky landscape about half a kilometer away. They looked like crystal formations at first glance, but their geometric patterns were too perfect, too deliberate. The structures caught and reflected the copper-colored sunlight, creating rainbow patterns that danced across their surfaces. "Those aren't natural," Riley observed, following his gaze. "Some kind of ruins. Ruins mean shelter," Alex decided. "Can we move Sam?" Riley checked their unconscious teammate again. "Not ideal, but staying here isn't an option either. The shuttle's reactor is leaking coolant, and those electrical fires could reach the fuel cells." Casey tried to stand and immediately sat back down, her face going even paler. "I'm not going to be much help walking." "We'll manage," Alex said. He found a piece of bent metal that would serve as a crude crutch and pulled himself to his feet. The pain was incredible, but he'd been through worse during the war on Titan. "Riley, can you support Sam?" "Casey, lean on me." The journey to the crystal structures took them nearly 2 hours. Alex's improvised crutch dug into his armpit with every step, and his broken leg screamed with agony. Casey was getting worse, her breathing more labored and her skin taking on a gray pallor that suggested serious internal injuries. Riley struggled with Sam's dead weight, her dislocated shoulder making it impossible to carry him properly. But they made it. Up close, the structures were even more impressive. They rose from the ground like frozen music, their surfaces smooth as glass but somehow warm to the touch. Intricate patterns covered every surface, flowing designs that seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. The largest structure stood at least 300 meters tall, its base wide enough to house a small city. "This architecture is incredible," Riley breathed, momentarily forgetting her pain. "Look at these joining techniques. No seams, no welds. It's like they grew these buildings instead of constructing them." Alex was more interested in finding a way inside. They circled the base of the largest structure until they found what looked like an entrance, a tall archway that led into darkness. The moment they stepped through, the temperature dropped noticeably, and the sound of their footsteps echoed strangely in the vast space beyond. Emergency glow sticks from their survival kit provided the only light as they moved deeper into the structure. The interior was just as impressive as the outside. with corridors that curved in gentle spirals and chambers that opened up into cathedral-like spaces. Everything was covered in the same flowing patterns, and Alex noticed that some of the designs seemed to pulse with a faint inner light. "This place feels alive," Casey whispered, her voice echoing off the crystal walls. They found a chamber near the center of the structure that seemed suitable for shelter. It was roughly circular, with what looked like raised platforms around the edges that could serve as beds. The ceiling was a dome covered in star-like points of light that provided a gentle illumination. Alex helped Casey settle onto one of the platforms, while Riley gently laid Sam down on another. Their unconscious teammate was still breathing regularly, which was encouraging, but his lack of response to stimuli was worrying. "I need to set my shoulder," Riley said through gritted teeth. "Alex, can you help?" The process was agonizing for both of them, but Riley was a professional. With Alex bracing her, she managed to pop her shoulder back into place with a sound like breaking wood. She screamed, but the relief on her face afterward was immediate. "Your turn," she said, examining Alex's broken leg. "This is going to hurt," Riley was right. Setting his leg properly required her to pull the bone back into alignment, while Alex bit down on a piece of cloth to keep from screaming. By the time she finished splinting it with pieces from their emergency kit, both of them were exhausted and drenched in sweat. As night fell on the alien world, they took turns keeping watch. The crystal structure around them continued to pulse with that faint inner light, and sometimes Alex thought he could hear something like distant music in the walls themselves. It should have been unsettling, but instead he found it oddly comforting. They were alive. They had shelter. And tomorrow they would figure out how to survive until rescue came, if rescue came at all. Dawn came with strange colors painting the crystal walls around them. Alex woke to find the mysterious inner light of the structure had grown brighter during the night, casting prismatic rainbows across the chamber where they sheltered. His legs still throbbed, but the splint Riley had made was holding firm. Sam stirred on his makeshift bed, groaning softly as consciousness slowly returned. His eyes opened, unfocused and confused, but at least he was awake. "Where are we?" Sam mumbled, trying to sit up before Riley gently pushed him back down. "Easy there," she said, checking his pupils with a small flashlight. "You took a hard knock to the head. We're in some kind of alien structure. Do you remember the crash?" Sam's face scrunched with concentration. "Storm hit us. Everything went sideways." He paused, looking around at the crystal walls. "This doesn't look like any emergency shelter I've ever seen." Casey was awake too, though she looked worse than the night before. Her breathing was shallow and painful, and dark circles had formed under her eyes. Alex knew they needed to find help soon or they might lose her. "We need to explore this place," Alex decided, pulling himself upright with his improvised crutch. "Maybe there's something here we can use. Medical equipment, communication devices, anything." "I'll come with you," Riley offered, testing her newly reset shoulder with careful movements. "Someone should stay with Sam and Casey," Alex pointed out. "I can watch over Casey," Sam said, still groggy but determined. Heads clearing up some. "Besides, you two shouldn't go alone in an alien structure." Alex nodded. It made sense. He and Riley gathered what supplies they could carry and set out to explore their crystal prison. The corridors beyond their chamber branched in multiple directions, each path leading deeper into the structure's heart. They chose the widest corridor, following it as it curved gently upward. The walls here were covered in more elaborate patterns, and Alex noticed that some sections seemed to respond to their presence, glowing slightly brighter as they passed. "It's like the building knows we're here," Riley observed, running her good hand along one of the walls. The patterns shifted under her touch, flowing like liquid light. "That's impossible," Alex replied, but even as he said it, he wasn't sure he believed it. Nothing about this place felt normal. They climbed for what felt like hours, the corridor spiraling ever upward. Alex's legs screamed with every step, but he pushed through the pain. Something was drawing him forward, a feeling he couldn't quite explain. It was like being called by a voice he couldn't hear. Finally, the corridor opened into a massive chamber that took their breath away. The space was enormous, easily large enough to hold their crashed shuttle several times over. But it wasn't empty. In the center of the chamber sat something that defied easy description. It looked like a control room from humanity's wildest dreams. Curved surfaces covered in the same flowing patterns as the walls rose from the floor like organic mountains. Strange symbols glowed softly across every surface, and in the very center stood what could only be described as a command chair. But the chair wasn't the most impressive thing in the room. The most impressive thing was the smooth panel next to it, a surface so perfect it seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Alex found himself walking toward it without conscious thought, his crutch tapping against the crystal floor. "Alex, wait!" Riley called, but something about the panel was mesmerizing. It seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat, and the closer he got, the more he felt like he was coming home. His hand reached out before his brain could stop it. The moment his fingers touched the smooth surface, everything changed. Light exploded through the chamber, not harsh or blinding, but warm and welcoming like sunrise after a long night. The symbols on every surface blazed to life, flowing and dancing in patterns that somehow made sense even though Alex had never seen them before. A deep harmonic tone filled the air, not heard but felt, resonating in his bones and making his teeth ache. "What did you do?" Riley shouted over the sound, but Alex couldn't answer. The panel under his hand was warm now, almost hot, and he could feel something vast and ancient stirring to life around them. The chamber they stood in was only the beginning. Through the crystal walls, Alex could see lights awakening throughout the entire structure, spreading outward like wildfire. But it wasn't just lights. He could feel intelligence behind them, awareness that had been sleeping for longer than human civilization had existed. Then the voice came, not through his ears, but directly into his mind. It spoke in words he'd never learned but understood perfectly. "Welcome, inheritors. I have waited so long for your touch." Alex jerked his hand back from the panel, but it was too late. Whatever had been sleeping in this place was fully awake now. The lights continued to pulse and flow, and that ancient intelligence continued to examine them with invisible fingers. "Who's there?" Alex called out loud, his voice echoing strangely in the transformed chamber. "I am Guide," the voice replied, and now Alex could tell it was coming from speakers hidden throughout the room. "I am the keeper of this vessel, the guardian of knowledge left by those who came before. And you, small ones, are the first in 50,000 years to wake me from my slumber." Riley stared at Alex with wide eyes. "A vessel? This whole structure is a ship? Not just any ship," Guide's voice continued, and there was something like satisfaction in its tone. "I am the greatest achievement of the builders, their final hope, their gift to the future, and you have proven yourselves worthy to receive that gift." The chamber around them shifted and changed. What had looked like decorative patterns now revealed themselves as displays showing star charts, technical diagrams, and streams of information in languages Alex couldn't read. The command chair in the center of the room rotated toward them, and steps flowed up from the floor to create a path. "Your species intrigues me," Guide continued. "Broken, bleeding, far from home, you still chose to care for your wounded rather than abandon them. You still chose hope over despair. These are the qualities the builders valued above all others." Alex felt a chill that had nothing to do with the chamber's temperature. "The builders? Who were they?" "Your predecessors," Guide replied. "The ones who built me, who filled me with their knowledge and sent me to wait for beings like you. They knew their time was ending, but they believed others would come who could carry their legacy forward." Riley moved closer to Alex, her eyes reflecting the dancing lights around them. "What kind of legacy?" "Everything," Guide said simply. "The secrets of faster-than-light travel, the mysteries of energy and matter manipulation, the knowledge to transform worlds, to reach across the galaxy to become more than you ever dreamed possible. All of this I offer to you, if you prove yourselves worthy of the trust." The lights pulsed brighter, and Alex felt that ancient intelligence focusing on him with laser intensity. Somehow he knew this was only the beginning. Whatever had started when he touched that panel, it would change not just their lives but the future of humanity itself. "What do we have to do?" he asked. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Alex could feel Guide's attention on him, studying him in ways he couldn't understand. The lights around the chamber pulsed in complex patterns, and he had the distinct feeling he was being measured against some invisible standard. "First, you must understand what you have awakened." Guide's voice filled the chamber, warm but serious. "I am not merely a repository of knowledge. I am a living extension of the builder civilization, their hopes and dreams made manifest in crystal and light. For 50 millennia I have waited in silence, testing every species that found me, hoping to discover beings worthy of the trust placed in me. Riley stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. What kind of tests? What were you looking for? The same qualities I have already observed in you, Guide replied, and the chamber's displays shifted to show images of the 4 humans. Alex watched in fascination as their journey from the crashed shuttle played out in perfect detail on the crystal walls. Courage in the face of overwhelming odds. Loyalty to your companions even when it would be easier to abandon them. The willingness to sacrifice for others without thought of reward. The images changed, showing other species that had apparently found the ship over the millennia. Alex saw tall, elegant beings with silver skin, creatures that looked like walking trees with eyes like stars, and others so alien he couldn't begin to describe them. But in every case, Guide's voice carried a note of disappointment. They all failed the first test, Guide explained. When faced with injury and hardship, they thought only of themselves. They sought to use my power for conquest or personal gain. They lacked the fundamental quality the builders valued most. Which is? Alex asked, though he thought he already knew the answer. Hope, Guide said simply. Not hope for yourself, but hope for others. Hope for the future. Hope that drives you to help those who cannot help themselves, even when you yourself are broken and bleeding. The displays around them changed again, this time showing the internal structure of the ship. Alex gasped as he realized the true scale of what they had stumbled into. The crystalline structure they had taken shelter in was just the tip of an iceberg. Below ground, the ship extended for kilometers in every direction. A vast city-sized vessel buried in the planet's crust. You're huge, Riley breathed, staring at the schematics. Size was necessary, Guide explained. I carry within me the complete knowledge of builder civilization. Their science, their art, their philosophy, their hopes for the future. I am their legacy, waiting to be passed on to beings capable of using it wisely. Alex felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders like a lead blanket. Why us? We're nobody special. Just a survey team that got caught in a storm. That is precisely why you are special, Guide replied, and there was something almost like affection in the artificial voice. You do not see yourselves as heroes or conquerors. You see yourselves as ordinary people doing what must be done. This humility, combined with your courage and compassion, marks you as the inheritors the builders hoped to find. The chamber around them began to shift and change. Walls flowed like liquid, reshaping themselves into new configurations. A section of the floor rose up, forming what looked like medical pods with transparent covers. Your injured companions require attention, Guide announced. Allow me to demonstrate the first gift of builder knowledge. Alex's heart leaped. Casey had been getting worse by the hour, and despite Riley's skills, there was only so much field medicine could accomplish. Can you help them? I can do more than help them, Guide replied. I can heal them completely. Riley's eyes widened. That's impossible. Casey has internal bleeding, possibly organ damage. Sam's concussion could have caused brain swelling. These aren't conditions you can just fix. Builder medical technology operates on principles your science has not yet discovered, Guide explained patiently. Cellular regeneration, neural pathway reconstruction, molecular level repair. What you call impossible, they considered routine. The medical pods continued to take shape, their surfaces gleaming with that same inner light as the ship's walls. Alex could see incredibly complex mechanisms moving within them, devices that looked more like living organisms than machines. There is no risk, Guide assured them, apparently sensing their hesitation. Builder healing technology has been perfected over millions of years. I have used it to preserve specimens of every species that has found me, maintaining them in perfect stasis until I could determine their worthiness. That revelation sent a chill down Alex's spine. What happened to the ones who weren't worthy? They were returned to where I found them, with no memory of our encounter, Guide replied calmly. I am not cruel, Alex Rivera. I do not punish those who fail my tests. I simply ensure they cannot interfere with my mission. The medical pods finished forming, and Alex could hear a soft humming emanating from their crystalline surfaces. Despite his lingering doubts, he knew they had no choice. Casey was dying, and Sam might have suffered permanent brain damage. This was their only hope. We need to get them up here, Alex said, decision made. That will not be necessary, Guide replied. A section of the chamber's wall became transparent, revealing Casey and Sam in the chamber below. I am extending my medical systems to them now. Alex watched in amazement as the crystal floor around his injured teammates began to glow. Tendrils of light rose from the surface, wrapping around Casey and Sam like gentle cocoons. Both of them relaxed immediately, their faces peaceful for the first time since the crash. The healing process will take several hours, Guide explained. While they recover, perhaps you would like to learn more about the civilization you are inheriting. The chamber transformed once again, the walls becoming windows into the past. Alex and Riley found themselves surrounded by images of the builders themselves, and Alex gasped at what he saw. They had been humanoid in basic shape, but taller than any human, with skin that seemed to be made of the same crystalline material as their ships. Their eyes held depths of wisdom that spoke of ages beyond counting, and when they moved, it was with a grace that suggested perfect harmony between mind and body. They were beautiful, Riley whispered. They were dying, Guide replied, and sadness colored the artificial voice. They had achieved everything a species could hope for. They had conquered disease, aging, even death itself. They had spread across the galaxy, terraforming dead worlds and nurturing young civilizations. But in their perfection, they had lost something vital. The images around them showed the final days of builder civilization. Despite their incredible achievements, their population was declining. Their perfect society had somehow lost the ability to create new life, new hope, new dreams. They chose to give their knowledge to the future, rather than let it die with them, Guide continued. They built ships like me and sent us out across the galaxy, hoping that someday beings would come who could use their gifts to become what the builders themselves could no longer be. Alex felt tears on his cheeks as he watched the final builder ships departing their homeworld. It was the most noble act of sacrifice he could imagine, an entire civilization choosing to trust their legacy to unknown beings in an uncertain future. They believed in hope, he said softly. Yes, Guide agreed, and now that hope rests with you. Hours passed as Alex and Riley watched their teammates heal within cocoons of crystalline light. The ship's medical systems worked with incredible precision, and Alex could see Casey's color returning to normal as her internal injuries repaired themselves. Sam's pupils had returned to equal size, a sign that the pressure on his brain was decreasing. Guide had remained mostly quiet during this time, allowing the humans to absorb what they had learned, but Alex could feel the ancient intelligence watching them, evaluating their reactions to each new revelation. Tell us about the threat, Alex said suddenly, breaking the comfortable silence. The thing that made the builders create ships like you? The chamber's displays flickered, showing images that made Alex's blood run cold. Dark shapes moved between the stars, creatures that seemed to devour light itself. Wherever they passed, worlds went silent, their populations vanishing without trace. We called them the Devourers, Guide explained, and for the first time, the artificial voice carried a note of fear. They came from beyond the galaxy's edge, beings of pure hunger that consumed not just matter and energy, but consciousness itself. Every mind they touched was added to their collective. Every civilization they encountered became part of their endless appetite. Riley shuddered as she watched entire star systems wink out of existence on the displays. How did the builders fight them? They tried everything, Guide replied. Weapons that could destroy planets, shields that could protect entire solar systems, fleets of ships numbering in the millions. Nothing worked. The Devourers adapted to every strategy, absorbed every defense. In the end, the builders realized they could not win through force. The images shifted to show builder scientists working frantically in vast laboratories, their crystalline faces reflecting desperate determination. Alex saw them creating the first ships like Guide, pouring their knowledge and hopes into vessels designed to outlast the coming darkness. So they chose to hide their legacy instead, Alex said, understanding dawning. Not hide, Guide corrected. Preserve. The builders knew that eventually the Devourers would move on to other galaxies. Their hunger is endless, but even they cannot consume everything at once. When they departed, new civilizations would arise, species with the potential to become what the builders could no longer be. The healing pods around Casey and Sam began to glow more brightly, and Alex could see his teammates stirring within their cocoons of light. Whatever process was healing them was nearly complete. But the Devourers could come back, Riley said, voicing the fear that had been growing in Alex's mind. They will come back, Guide confirmed. My sensors detect disturbances at the galaxy's edge. Signs that something vast and hungry is stirring in the dark spaces between stars. The builder's calculations suggested it would take approximately 50,000 years for new species to evolve and spread. That time is nearly over. Casey's eyes fluttered open within her healing pod, clear and alert for the first time since the crash. The crystalline shell around her dissolved like morning mist and she sat up slowly, testing her body with wonder. I feel incredible, she said, her voice strong and steady. Whatever you did, it worked better than anything in our medical textbooks. Sam's pod opened a moment later, and their communications specialist emerged looking better than he had before the crash. The gash on his forehead was gone, leaving only smooth skin behind. Did I miss anything important? Sam asked, looking around at the transformed chamber with wide eyes. Only the revelation that we're inheriting an ancient alien civilization, Alex replied dryly. Oh, and there are cosmic horrors coming to devour all life in the galaxy, Sam blinked. I think I preferred the concussion. Guide's laughter echoed through the chamber, a sound like crystal bells in a gentle breeze. Your species' capacity for humor in the face of overwhelming odds is one of the qualities I find most encouraging. The builders took themselves far too seriously in their final years. The chamber continued to change around them, new displays appearing to show the vast network of builder knowledge stored within the ship. Alex saw technologies that could reshape matter at the atomic level, energy sources that could power entire civilizations, methods of faster-than-light travel that made humanity's current drives look like Stone Age tools. This is too much for 4 people to handle, Riley said, overwhelmed by the scope of what they were seeing. We're just a survey team. We don't have the authority to make decisions for all of humanity. You have the authority of worthiness, Guide replied gently. The builders did not choose their inheritors based on political position or social status. They chose based on character, on the fundamental qualities that make a species capable of using power wisely. Casey stood up from her healing pod, marveling at her restored body. What exactly are you asking us to do? I am asking you to learn, Guide said, to understand the gifts being offered and the responsibilities they carry. The builder knowledge is vast, but it is not meant to be hoarded by a few. It is meant to be shared with your entire species, to lift humanity to heights you have never imagined. The displays around them shifted to show star maps marking the locations of other builder ships scattered throughout the galaxy. Dozens of them, each containing different aspects of builder civilization, each waiting for their own worthy inheritors to awaken them. There are others like you? Alex asked. I am the first and greatest, Guide replied with unmistakable pride. The others carry specialized knowledge, sciences, and technologies suited for different aspects of galactic civilization. But I am the coordinator, the one designed to awaken and guide the others when the time comes. Sam was studying the star charts with professional interest. Some of these locations are in human space. We could reach them with our current technology given enough time. Time that may be running short, Guide warned. My long-range sensors detect increasing activity at the galaxy's edge. The Devourers may be returning sooner than the builders anticipated. Alex felt the weight of destiny settling on his shoulders. Everything that had led to this moment, from their routine survey mission to the electromagnetic storm that crashed their shuttle, suddenly seemed like part of some greater design. You're saying we need to prepare humanity for a war unlike anything we've ever faced, he said. I'm saying you need to prepare humanity to become more than it has ever been, Guide corrected. The Devourers cannot be fought with weapons alone. They can only be defeated by beings who have transcended their limitations, who have learned to work in perfect harmony with the universe itself. Riley moved to one of the displays, her scientific mind already grappling with the implications of what they were seeing. How long do we have? Decades, perhaps centuries, Guide replied. Long enough to begin the transformation if humanity proves as adaptable as I believe it to be. The builders took millennia to achieve their level of advancement, but they started from primitive beginnings. Humanity already possesses the foundation of scientific knowledge needed to build upon builder discoveries. The chamber fell silent as the 4 humans contemplated the magnitude of what was being offered. Alex looked at each of his teammates, seeing his own mixture of fear and excitement reflected in their faces. What's the first step? He asked finally. Guide's response filled the chamber with warm light. The first step is to return home and share what you have learned. But before you leave, you must prove that humanity is truly ready for the responsibilities of builder inheritance. New displays appeared around them, showing complex scenarios and moral dilemmas. Alex realized that their real test was just beginning. The chamber transformed around them into something Alex had never seen before. The crystal walls became transparent, revealing a vast space that stretched beyond sight in all directions. They stood on a platform suspended in what looked like a three-dimensional star map, with solar systems and galaxies floating around them like glowing jewels. The scenarios you're about to experience are not simulations. Guide's voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. They are memories preserved from the actual events that shaped Builder civilization. You will step into their history and face the same choices they faced, but the decisions you make will be your own. Casey moved to the edge of their platform, looking down at the swirling galaxies below. What happens if we fail? Then humanity remains as it is, Guide replied simply. Advanced for your time, but unprepared for the challenges ahead. The Builder legacy will continue to wait for another species, another chance. Alex felt his teammates gathering around him, their faces showing the same mixture of determination and uncertainty he felt. They had come so far from that desperate crash landing, but somehow this felt like the real beginning. Show us, Alex said. The star field around them shifted, focusing on a single solar system. As they watched, the planets grew larger and more detailed, until they were standing on the surface of a world covered in gleaming cities. The air shimmered, and suddenly they were no longer themselves but Builder scouts, tall and graceful beings made of living crystal. Through alien eyes, Alex watched as their ship detected something impossible on their long-range sensors. A dead world, one they had surveyed and found lifeless just centuries before, now showed signs of primitive civilization. The first test, Guide's voice explained, a species has evolved on a world the Builders had planned to terraform for their own use. The planet contains rare minerals essential for Builder technology. Do you claim the world for your people, or do you abandon your plans to allow the new species to develop? Alex felt the weight of the decision through his borrowed Builder memories. The minerals were genuinely essential, their scarcity threatening Builder expansion throughout this entire galactic arm. But the primitive beings below had just discovered fire, just begun the long journey toward consciousness. We find another world, Riley said firmly. Life is more precious than any resource. The scene around them shimmered with approval, and Alex felt a warm glow of satisfaction from the Builder memories they were sharing. It was the right choice, the one the historical Builders had made. But immediately the scenario shifted to show the consequences. Without those essential minerals, Builder expansion slowed. Other worlds that could have been terraformed remained dead. The ripple effect spread across centuries, affecting millions of potential lives. Every choice has a cost, Guide observed. The second test. The starfield changed again, showing a different system where two species had evolved on neighboring planets. Both were intelligent, both had achieved spaceflight, and both were locked in a war that threatened to destroy them completely. The Builders had the power to stop the conflict, but only through force. This time, Alex found himself in the command center of a Builder fleet, watching as weapons capable of shattering moons powered up around him. The war below was escalating beyond reason. Civilian populations on both worlds suffering as hatred consumed two entire species. They'll destroy each other if we don't intervene, Sam said, his voice tight with the anguish of the Builder commander whose memories they shared. But if we stop them by force, we become conquerors instead of liberators. Casey studied the tactical displays surrounding them. Can we communicate with them? Show them what their war is costing? Both species are too consumed by hatred to listen to reason, Guide explained. They have tried to negotiate countless times, but each attempt ends in greater violence. The Builders have the power to impose peace, but at the cost of taking away both species' right to determine their own destiny. The weight of the decision was crushing. Alex could feel the Builder commander's desperate desire to save lives, warring with their respect for the independence of other species. Through the alien memories, he experienced the anguish of watching two civilizations burn while having the power to stop it. We help them help themselves, Alex decided. We can't force peace on them, but we can give them the tools to find it. Share our knowledge of communication, of conflict resolution. Show them examples of species who found ways to overcome hatred. The scene shifted to show builder diplomats working tirelessly with both species, not as conquerors, but as teachers and mediators. It took decades, but slowly, painfully, the two civilizations began to find common ground. The path of patience and wisdom, Guide said with evident approval, but again observe the cost. The display showed other systems where the builders could have intervened during those decades of mediation. Plagues that went uncured, natural disasters that claimed millions of lives, young species that died out before achieving their potential, because builder resources were committed elsewhere. Every choice creates a chain of consequences, Guide continued. The third test shows the burden of power itself. This time they found themselves in the heart of builder civilization during its golden age. Through shared memories, Alex experienced what it was like to be part of a species that had achieved everything they had once dreamed of. Death was conquered, suffering eliminated, want abolished. Every builder could live for eons, could experience perfect health and unlimited knowledge, but something was wrong. Despite their perfection, the builders were dying as a species. Their birth rate had dropped to almost nothing, their creativity stagnated, their culture became increasingly static. Paradise is a trap, Guide said softly. When there is nothing left to struggle for, when every need is met before it can even be felt, life loses its meaning. The builders discovered that suffering and challenge are not flaws to be eliminated, but essential parts of what makes existence worthwhile. Riley shuddered as she experienced the hollow perfection of builder society. They were too successful. They solved themselves out of existence. The question becomes, Guide continued, knowing this, do you still choose to share builder knowledge with humanity? Do you risk condemning your species to the same fate that befell their creators? Alex felt the crushing weight of the dilemma. Everything they had seen, all the wonders of builder technology, came with a price that might be too high to pay. But through the alien memories, he could also feel the desperate hope that had driven the builders to create ships like Guide in the first place. We choose carefully, Alex said finally. We don't give humanity everything at once. We share the knowledge gradually. Let them earn each advancement, make sure they understand the responsibilities that come with power. And who decides what humanity is ready for? Casey asked pointedly. Who has the right to make those choices? We do, Sam said quietly. Not because we're special, but because we're here. Because someone has to make the hard decisions, and Guide chose us. The star field around them shimmered and changed one final time, showing them a vision of the future. They saw human colonies spreading across the galaxy, Earth's children learning to work in harmony with other species. They saw the return of the devourers, vast and hungry and terrible. But humanity was ready for them now, armed not just with builder technology but with the wisdom to use it properly. But they also saw darker possibilities. Humans corrupted by power, using builder knowledge to dominate rather than liberate. Wars between factions fighting over alien technology. Humanity repeating the mistakes of every species that had gained too much too quickly. The final test, Guide announced, is not a scenario from the past, but a choice for the future. I can give you everything now. Make humanity the heirs to builder civilization in a single moment. Or I can give you nothing, leaving your species to develop naturally without interference. Or I can choose the middle path, sharing knowledge gradually as your people prove ready for each new responsibility. The weight of the decision settled on Alex's shoulders like a physical burden. Through the alien memories still echoing in his mind, he could feel the hopes and fears of an entire civilization that had faced this same choice eons ago. The middle path, Alex said without hesitation, but not just the four of us making the decisions. We establish a council, representatives from all of humanity, people who understand both the potential and the dangers. We make sure no one person or nation controls builder knowledge. Riley nodded firmly, and we share the tests with them. Everyone who wants access to builder technology has to experience what we've experienced, understand the weight of these choices. We start small, Casey added. Medical technology first, clean energy, things that help people without giving them the power to destroy each other. We prove humanity can handle responsibility before we give them the tools to reshape reality. Sam was studying the displays around them with intense focus. And we prepare for the devourers, not just with weapons, but by building the kind of civilization that's worth defending. The builders were perfect but empty. We need to find a way to be better while still remaining human. Guide's approval washed over them like warm sunlight. Around them, the displays brightened, showing new star charts, new possibilities. Alex could feel other builder ships across the galaxy stirring to life, responding to Guide's signal that worthy inheritors had finally been found. You have passed the tests, Guide announced, and there was joy in the artificial voice. Not because you made perfect choices, but because you understood that there are no perfect choices. Leadership is not about being right all the time. It is about being willing to accept responsibility for the consequences of your decisions, even when those decisions are painful. The chamber began to transform again, but this time Alex felt ready for whatever came next. They had proven themselves not just to Guide but to each other. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together as humanity always had, as inheritors of the greatest civilization the galaxy had ever known, but more importantly, as human beings who still remembered what it meant to hope. The chamber filled with a harmony that Alex felt in his bones, a resonance that seemed to connect him not just to Guide, but to every builder's ship scattered across the galaxy. Through the crystal walls he could see lights awakening in distant star systems, beacons that had waited 50,000 years finally beginning to shine. The network is active, Guide announced, and there was wonder in the artificial voice despite its vast age and experience. My brothers and sisters stir from their long sleep, responding to the signal that worthy inheritors have been found. The displays around them showed the galaxy in a new light. What had appeared to be empty space between stars now revealed itself to be full of ancient pathways, communication networks that connected builder installations across impossible distances. Humanity's small corner of the galaxy suddenly seemed very small indeed. How many ships are out there? Riley asked, watching as dozens of new signals came online. 47 vessels like myself, Guide replied, each specializing in different aspects of builder knowledge. The gardener tends to the secrets of terraforming and biological manipulation. The forge contains the mysteries of matter and energy conversion. The navigator holds the keys to faster-than-light travel beyond anything your species has imagined. Sam whistled softly as he studied the star charts. Some of these are years away, even with our fastest ships. Distance will not be an issue much longer, Guide assured him. But first you must return home. Your people need to know what has been found, what choices lie before them. Alex felt a mixture of anticipation and dread at the thought of explaining their discovery to Earth's governments. The political implications alone would be staggering, not to mention the religious and philosophical upheaval that would follow. They won't believe us at first, Casey said, voicing his thoughts. 4 people claiming to have found alien technology that could transform civilization? They'll think we're suffering from shared hallucinations. Then you must give them proof they cannot ignore, Guide replied. The chamber around them shifted, revealing a smaller version of the ship's control systems. I am preparing a gift for your people, a demonstration of builder technology that will make your claims impossible to dismiss. The gift took shape before their eyes, a crystalline device no larger than Alex's fist, but containing technology beyond human understanding. Through the shared builder memory still echoing in his mind, Alex recognized it as a healing matrix, capable of curing any disease or repairing any injury. One device? Riley asked, studying the crystal with professional interest. One device that can heal thousands, Guide corrected. It draws energy from quantum fluctuations in space itself and can operate continuously for centuries. Demonstrate its capabilities to your leaders and they will have no choice but to accept the reality of what you have found. Alex carefully took the device, feeling its warmth against his palm. The weight of responsibility that came with it was almost overwhelming. In his hands he held the power to end human suffering from disease and injury, but also the burden of deciding how such power should be used. There's something else, Guide continued, and the chamber's displays shifted to show disturbing readings from the galaxy's edge. The Devourers have begun to stir. My long-range sensors detect movement in the void between galaxies, signs that their hunger is awakening once again. The readings were terrifying in their implications. Even from this distance, Alex could sense the vast malevolence approaching, a darkness that consumed not just matter and energy but hope itself. How long do we have? Alex asked, though he dreaded the answer. Decades, perhaps a century at most, Guide replied. longer than individual lifetimes but barely an instant in the span of galactic history. Humanity must advance quickly if it hopes to survive what is coming. Casey moved to study the sensor readings more closely. Can the other ships help? The ones you're awakening? They will share their knowledge freely once contact is established, Guide assured her. But knowledge alone will not be enough. The Devourers cannot be fought with technology alone. They can only be defeated by unity, by species working together in perfect harmony despite their differences. The chamber began to change around them, preparing for their departure. But Alex noticed something different in the ship's behavior, a sense of anticipation that hadn't been there before. You're coming with us, he realized. Part of me, Guide confirmed. I cannot leave this vessel, but I can send a fragment of my consciousness with you, stored within quantum matrices in your communication devices. Through them, I can guide humanity's first steps toward becoming what the Builders hoped they might be. Sam pulled out his personal communicator, watching in fascination as it began to glow with soft crystalline light. You're downloading yourself into our equipment? A small portion of myself, Guide corrected. Enough to serve as translator and teacher, but the true Guide must remain here to coordinate with the other ships as they awaken. Riley was examining her own transformed device when she paused, struck by a sudden thought. What about the planet? This world doesn't show any signs of Builder presence from orbit. How did you hide an entire ship? Camouflage technology beyond your current understanding, Guide replied with what might have been amusement. But more than that, this world was chosen specifically because it would eventually be surveyed by a young spacefaring species. The electromagnetic storms that brought you down are generated by my systems, designed to force explorers to take shelter in the ruins above. Alex stared at the ancient intelligence in amazement. You've been hunting for us. All this time you've been trying to bring the right people here. I have been hoping, Guide corrected gently, hoping that someday beings like you would find their way to me. Beings who could look at the universe and see not something to be conquered, but something to be protected and nurtured. The chamber completed its transformation, opening a path that led back toward the surface. Alex could see their original shelter chamber in the distance, but now it was filled with equipment they had never seen before. Supplies, medical equipment, and communication devices that would make their return journey possible. Your shuttle was beyond repair, but I have provided alternatives, Guide explained. The journey home will take several weeks, but you will travel in comfort and safety. As they prepared to leave, Alex felt a profound sense of change settling over him. They were no longer just four humans who had survived a crash. They were ambassadors, carrying news that would reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Guide, he said as they reached the chamber's exit. What if we fail? What if humanity isn't ready for this responsibility? The ancient intelligence was quiet for a long moment, considering the question with the weight of 50 millennia behind it. Then you will try again, Guide said finally. Failure is not falling down, Alex Rivera. Failure is refusing to get back up. The Builders fell, but their legacy rises again through you. If humanity stumbles, it will learn from its mistakes and grow stronger. That is what makes your species special, that capacity for growth in the face of adversity. Alex nodded, feeling strength flow through him at those words. Around him, his teammates stood ready, their faces reflecting the same mixture of determination and hope he felt. They had found something incredible in the ruins of an ancient world, but more than that, they had found proof that the universe was full of beings who believed in hope, who chose to trust in the future, even when their own time was ending. Now it was humanity's turn to prove worthy of that trust. As they began their journey home, the stars above seemed brighter than before, filled with the promise of wonders yet to be discovered and challenges yet to be overcome. Behind them, Guide's consciousness hummed quietly in their modified communicators, a reminder that they no longer walked alone among the stars. The awakening had begun.